Welcome to Casino 4448. My name is Ilya.
My name is Manny.
And my name is Alex.
I want to start out by talking about the technology that we used. Using Qt Creator, we were able to create our casino through a simple design of UI. We thought that with Qt, we can better understand where we'll go by having a simple UI first, and then we have implement the buttons and the rest later. Using resources like images for cards and boards, Qt would also provide with a simple .qrc file to manage and bring images up in code. Another benefit of Qt is emitting a signal we can attach a slot to make it happen or to make something happen, like add money to a bet. Manny and Alex will explain signals and code more closely later. Qt provides a queue object classes that organizes themselves into trees. When you create a queue object with another object as parent, the object will automatically add itself to the parent children list. The parent takes ownership of the object. In the end, using Qt IDE really helped us design what we wanted with integrated UI design. So a responsibility. Manny helped get us started with the casino idea. He also worked with the blackjack game and helped familiarize Qt. And also he worked with adapter and player classes as well. Alex worked on the roulette game, UI design and UI integration, as well as the game window. And I helped with the Qt setup, casino / window, welcome window, as well as teller.
And then I'm going to take over now so I can go ahead and demo our application here. Sorry, here we go. So you're beginning, you're welcomed by this cashier who asks you what your name is. And once you click the done prompt, they ask you to enter how much money you'd like to enter with. We could go in with a good amount just so we don't run out. And yeah, you can enjoy your time at the casino. And then once you're in, you have a few options here. We could just start with the game, but yeah, as you can see, they're fully functional tabletop casino games, just like you'd expect to find in person. Here you can select wagers, obviously, up to what you can afford. We have error handling in place for situations like that. We could do a small game here for $5 just to see how the game plays. The wager's taken out of your player balance, and the cards are displayed on every hit. And the player could decide to stand if they're happy with their cards. For example, here we lost our money. And then you reset the board and redo your wager whenever you're happy with it. We also have our roulette game, which Alex took control of here. Works pretty similarly. You decide on your wager, and then from this board, you place your bets. So you could place a $4 bet on 14, and then a $5 bet on all the reds just to be safe. And then on your spin, depending on where it landed, you'll get specific payouts. So because it was at 14, we didn't win that bet, but because it was a red, we did win that $5 bet. So it worked out to a $1 net gain. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the slots functioning, but we could talk about that more in our reflection. And then we were able to integrate this bar here with a few different drinks. And this is where we integrated, I guess, our power-ups for the game. We called them modifiers in game. And every drink with a different price or description will affect your playthrough differently. So for example, the Alex Special here, after buying it, looks kind of nonchalant at first until you exit the bar and you're met with this text prompt that you found $500 on the floor. So lucky you won $500 and it was added to your player balance. But for example, my moonshine here, Manny's moonshine that I prepared in my basement, if you were to drink that and then go to blackjack, you'll see that the dealer is going to end up having some really, really good luck for a few turns here. And we're going to have a hard time trying to beat them. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good demo as far as what we were able to accomplish. As far as like some of the main functions here, I'd say for blackjack, it'd be this hit function. So like Ilya was talking about in QT, it mostly works on the widgets in the UI emitting signals, and then within your code, you have slots that catch those signals and sets off, certain things to happen. So this is our hit button slot. So whenever the hit button is clicked, it emits a signal to this slot, and this slot will catch it and do all this code. So it's pretty well commented, but yeah, we have some error handling for UI elements and such. And then depending on specific modifiers, Ilya's drink in the game actually gives the player the cheating power. So you'll get a few lucky tens for a few turns in a row here, and that's where that's implemented. And then the dealer logic is pretty similar, but again, different in a few ways. So it had to be handled separately. And the stand button is similar to the hit button, except it basically skips the player turn. And yeah, I'd say that's about all of it for blackjack. Yeah.
Okay,
Alex,
so
if you wanted to take up.
yep, I'll go ahead and share my screen now. Right here, and talk about a little bit more about the main functions that we had in the roulette window. So just right here, we just have the constructor. The main things we had here were the number of spins, the last spin, the user bet, and this was to catch, like, in order for you to place multiple bets, and not just be restricted to one bet. So that's like you saw on Manny's demo, he was able to place a bet on a specific number and also place it on red, and this handled it accordingly. And then right here, bet yes, no, basically just captured what bets you made. So if it was red, black, the middle 12, and so on. So I'll go ahead and close that. Here's the constructor. And then right here we have these are all just handling the money, how much you want to bet, which is similar to what we did in the blackjack. The main difference was on the spin button, and that's when you actually spun the roulette wheel. So here it's gonna be random. It's gonna choose a random within 38. So it's 0, 00, 0, and then every number to 37. So right here, if let's say if it was case 0, so let's say the ball landed on a 0, then it would set the label of 0, which we have over here on the UI. Right here, it labels 0, as you can see. It would set that right here. Let's see. It would set a pix map to the ball, which we have as our picture, and that's how the ball would appear right there. And then right here, this if statement is basically seeing if you bet on 0, and if you didn't, then nothing happened. It just cleared your wagers and reset it for your next spin. Right on 1, there's a little bit more cases because you can bet on red, since 1 is also odd, and right here you can bet on the middle 3 columns, and then the first 18, the middle 12, I mean the first 12, and so on. So these handled all these cases, and yeah, I think that's it, right? I can go ahead and stop sharing, and then we'll go back to Ilya.
So I'll go ahead and start our talk about our reflection. Okay. All right, so some of the challenges that we faced were how to connect one class with an interactive UI to another. Working through with a single player, we needed to keep track of balance, name, and to make that carry over to another game in the casino. Another challenge that we faced was learning Qt itself, as we don't have an extensive knowledge, like how to write up a .qrc file, we had to figure that out. And that would basically call images from a certain location. But we learned a lot from it. In the end, what we would do different is how we would go about starting out with a pre-planned resources and knowing how to connect classes. We would write them a little differently by utilizing public variables instead of just private variables.
Right, and then just adding more onto what Ilya said about not fully being able to like implement Qt to its fullest potential for our slot game. The main reason we weren't able to implement it was obviously in a slot machine, you have the reels moving, and we were hoping to animate that. And Qt actually has some really cool animation libraries, but we weren't too familiar with them, and we kind of just threw out the idea of the slots, hoping that it would work. But once we started looking further into the library, we realized like how kind of bare bones the implementation of the animations were, and that like to get the exact animations we wanted, we'd have to do a lot of like extensive animation work that we really didn't understand, and it kind of just put us in a weird spot. So we definitely put some favoritism towards the other two games, and that's kind of why slots kind of got left on the back burner. And there was just a few moments like that where it was like, oh, we went about implementing this exact game element in a label when we could have just done it in a button and it would have solved like X, Y, and Z problem, and just small things like that. So like Ilya said, we learned a lot about Qt, but I think, yeah, like upon reflecting, we definitely could have maybe looked into it more to see how it could have convenienced us even more than it already did.
Yeah, like Manny was saying, at the beginning, I feel like we could have probably just focused a little bit more on Qt instead of going straight to the coding of our game window or teller, the actual game. And that would have probably benefited us more. Because I remember at the beginning when I was making like the game window where you can navigate to roulette, the slot, or blackjack, I was having a lot of errors, especially because I didn't know if I should use the button, if I should use what like specific Qt I should
Widget,
use.
right?
Widget, yeah, widget. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
As our casino is ranking in money, we are happy with what came of it. We learned a lot about Qt and how to manage a project for the team. Our development has led us to learn more about how some patterns work and how the code interacts with the UI. We thank you for listening to our presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks. Alrighty.